So we're about ready to go?
Yes.
All right. Believe it or not, it is time to start planning our summer garden for next year. So let's take a look at the changes we're going to make from this year to next. All right, heading up the pasture to go check on the sheep and the goats, and getting about the evening chores, and then get dinner started. Right?
Yep.
You scared him, Loki.
Show us undoing the fence. Darn it. Sue. Hi, Rosemary. Hi, Mama 2. Hi, Fiona. Hi, Mama 1. Silly Sue.
What you got there?
I have a little bit of sweet feed. They don't get much, but they get treats occasionally. To be honest, this is how we bribed them to like us. We are really excited for Spartacus and Fiona to actually have babies. Let's see if we can show you how cute Spot is. Here, come here, bud. Come here, babe. Say hi to the camera. Say hi. Our ram's starting to get his beard. And then here's little Fee. So we think they are going to have adorable babies, don't we? Yes. Hi, Tilly. Tilly is Fiona's mama. So the sheep are doing well. The goats and the sheep are getting along really, really well. And in September, we're actually going to be adding a couple of Nubian goats from the homesteading pasture.
That's right. Apparently that's where you dump some of the sweet feed.
Yep.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Renewed Homestead. Ben, Denise, Loki, and we're in the corner of the garden. So let's start here. And why did we choose this corner? We want to show you this amazing plant that's growing over our heads here. And what is it?
Well, first we should probably explain what we're doing in the video.
I guess we could do that.
Yeah, so as y'all know, we had a really frustrating season, to say the least. If it wasn't the deer getting into our garden, which they pretty much annihilated just about everything, we were having issues with squash bugs and Mexican bean beetle and squash beetles and the Colorado potato beetle. And thankfully, the guineas were able to help us out with some of it. The ducks were able to help us out with some of it. But the climbing beans, we had to go in every single day and get rid of the bean beetles and
squish bugs.
Yeah, and you know, when you've got so much time dedicated to a garden per day, you know, you might have an hour dedicated to it, and if you're spending 50 minutes on the pests, then you're what are you doing? Then you're obviously not able to give attention to the rest of the garden. So there are things that we are going to implement next year that should help us with not only the deer, but also the pests. And these are things that we wanted to share with you, hoping that it might also help y'all.
Yeah.
So.
And we learned by reading, watching other videos, but just by observation. Mm-hmm. And part of the idea behind this we learned from our neighbor Larry, because he's got a beautiful garden. He's got a fence about as high as ours, But there's lots of room in there where a deer could easily jump over and
They
decimate
don't.
his garden, and they're not. They're not.
Yes.
So that kind of led us, more you, to thinking, well, let's see, what does he got? He's got blackberries and raspberries all the way around the perimeter.
Except for
one.
small sections, but yeah,
Right.
for the most part.
Right. But then that kind of got us thinking, okay, well, what else could we do besides something that's thorny like that?
Well, and what we have learned and observed is that if a deer cannot see over the fence, they won't jump over the fence unless they're terrified, being pursued, whatever. But for the most part, a deer's not going to jump into something that they can't see where they're jumping into. So this plant, and this is, believe it or not, is actually wild from last year.
Yeah.
This is the South American cucumber, and I want to say it's the Appalachia is how you pronounce it.
I believe so.
We originally got these seeds from Zach at an American Homestead, and if y'all are interested in this plant, I will put a link down to his website where you can purchase seeds. And as you can see, it is a vigorous grower, and it grows really quickly.
All across here.
Yep, so what we're going to do is actually plant a bunch of this along the outside. Now, the deer have nibbled on it, but they don't really seem to like it. And if they eat some of it, it's not a big deal. But we can put this all along the fencing and they won't be able to see in. So that's one measure that we're going to take with the deer. So what are the other measures that we're taking?
Well, we have comfrey on the outside, and we're going to be putting daisies in with the comfrey and creating kind of a hedge, more or less. Now, we know the deer will eat the comfrey. They've been chewing on it. You probably saw Loki snacking on it just now, but it's very prolific, so you know, we're not
They want some comfrey. I'm not overly worried.
Exactly. We would rather them munch on the comfrey, and I don't think they really eat the daisies, but
they don't like daisies. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing the daisies there, and it's pretty.
Yeah. Now we're not putting any blackberry raspberry here, right? We have some up in the food forest above us.
Yes.
But not here.
Yeah, we might do it down the road, but right now we're going to see how the Appalachia works, and then we'll put the daisies in between the comfrey, so we'll have a good hedge right here. And then we're also going to put about 3 strands of electrical wire around the outside.
Electric fence. Time to zap them.
Yeah.
That's what our neighbors have done. It has protected their corn garden for the most part. They did have one deer get in and cause some damage.
But not much at all. They were able to save it. Now, he's got 4 strands, but he does not have a physical fence around it. He's just got the strands of electric wire. So we will have the Appalachia, the daisies, and the electrical fencing around the main garden.
And there will be far fewer deer this time next year.
Yes.
We're hunting, whether you want to hear it or not. We're going to put a couple, 3, maybe more in the freezer. So are our neighbors, and we've got some friends that might also come up and do a little hunting on our property as well, because they're overgrown. Apparently, the last few years there haven't been near as many hunters, and they are becoming a problem. And when the deer overpopulate, as we've seen from history, they starve each other out. They eat everything down. There's no food, and now you've got animals literally starving. And they become more of a nuisance because they're desperate and they're getting into places they shouldn't.
And what's that disease? The wasting disease?
Oh, I don't know the name of it.
Yeah, there's a disease that happens when deer start to starve. And y'all, it is horrible to see. So,
and most of the predators have been killed off. We do have some.
We have plenty of fox.
Yeah, but not that they're going to take down the deer. And occasionally, the coyotes will get a baby deer, but most of them are already grown up enough that the coyotes won't take them on now. So, they say we have big cats here. Government says we don't have big cats here.
All the locals say we do.
All the locals say we have big cats here. We haven't seen them, but they could take down deer. But that's one out of, we see 12 across the pasture every day, every other day,
Yeah, but the population needs to be controlled, or else they're going to starve, and it's going to actually be very inhumane. So not only will it will help us next year to protect our garden against the deer, it will also help the deer themselves, because if you get too many, which we have right now, the winter's going to be really ugly for them.
And we don't mind. We always actually plant extra because we know we're going to lose a certain amount to predators, and that's fine. You know,
Yeah,
the
10
de-
to 15% is what we expect to lose to wildlife.
Yep.
And we're happy sharing that with them.
That's right. They're just doing what nature calls them to do, and we're okay with that. But when they decimate all of it, that's, you know,
That's a different
it's time to
story.
take action. So
Yep. And let's go talk about the other things that we're going to be doing.
let's do that.
All right.
Let's go for a walk.
Let's go for a walk.
Okay, so we're inside the garden now, and the reason we're so far back from the camera is I want to show you. This is the area where we had all of our potatoes for 2 seasons.
Yes.
So it's time to rotate those out. But the other point, as Denise had mentioned a few moments ago, you know, when you're spending 90% of your garden time squishing bugs, other things suffer. So you can see we've got a lot of grasses growing up, and you know, it looks disorganized. I mean, we've got things growing in here, but you know, the few things that we had success in growing that weren't eaten down by the deers and the rabbits, we had to protect from the bugs. So that's where we had to focus on. So other things had to kind of suffer a little bit.
Yeah, and y'all were, you know, as y'all know, we're going to be real with you. You know, it's things get away from us. Unfortunately, the garden did get away from us. I'm in Arizona. I liked everything in its place and really tidy and organized, and I do in my house. But in the garden, I understand that sometimes things are going to be wild, and that's okay because that's how nature has it. This got a little bit away from us. We've got a ton of tomato bushes that grew wild. Because the deer ate all of our other tomato plants, we went ahead and just let them grow wild to see if we'd get tomatoes from it. And we really haven't because the deer have decimated them. We've got some tomatoes. They're just very small tomatoes that grow wild here. They're good, but there's nothing that's going to give us the sauces and the salsas that we had hoped.
Yeah.
But the garden got away from us. But we know that, you know, it's towards the end of the season. We're getting ready to plant our fall garden. And this garden is going to rest. But one of the main things we're doing next year,
we're going to rotate it out. The potatoes will be on the opposite side of the garden from here.
well, actually, I think we discussed it.
No, that's right. We're going to put them up.
So where our corn garden,
which is the one up behind the barn.
Yeah, the one behind the barn by the shop, that garden we're going to switch out, and we're going to actually plant the potatoes there. So, yeah. And then what's going here?
Chicken manure.
Well, yes, but also the corn is going to go here.
Corn's going to go here.
So we're going to have our sweet corn in the main garden, and then we'll do our dent corn over there. And that will be surrounded by 4 electric
wires.
So that's going to be electric as well. But the corn will be in here. And do you want to tell them the main reason why we're switching kind of things out a little bit? And the squash is also going to change. So anywhere we've had squash this year, we will not have squash next year. They're going to be planted in a different location.
Yeah.
What?
But first, food fight! Put in the comments if you know who that is. Anyway, okay, so she knows, but she's. Well, I had a tummy toe. I had to do something with it.
I thought you were going to eat it.
Well, I will, but if I can find it, it's hiding in the grass now. So, part of the reason we need to rotate is, you know, like right now, the squash bugs know where these squash are, and by moving them, hopefully any of those that reemerge in the spring out of the ground will be lost and won't find the squash. And the same with any of the bean beetles and things like that. You need to move things around both for the nutrients in the ground, but also to confuse the pests.
Yes.
And we did try to plant, I know you can't really see them here, maybe you can, but there's some nasturtiums coming up. We've got marigolds right there. There are some other flowers around there. Those are good for driving pests away and bringing in pollinators. So, you know, we try to intersperse those, and hopefully these will come back on their own next year.
Yeah, we planted a whole bunch of dill and basils and thymes, but obviously it's not going to keep the deer away.
Right.
Yeah, but so we'll be rotating. But what we're going to do in the interim, so we've got the ducklings in here right now. We bring the ducks in during the day. So we're allowing them to get in and eat all of the bugs. So we've still got some squash growing. So once we harvest those squash and some beans, Once those are done, probably about 2 weeks, we're going to bring the chickens in. And we're going to allow the chickens to scratch through everything, get through the ground, get to the bugs. So hopefully we have less bugs next season. Yeah. And then we're going to come in and we've got a whole bunch of chicken litter that has been composting, and the chicken litter that's in the coop, because we've been doing the deep litter method, that's going to go over most of the garden. And then right here, we're going to actually do a cover crop to redo those nutrients. And then and then basically when spring comes, it'll be ready to plant again. But hopefully between the ducklings, the ducks, the chickens, and then the chicken litter and the cover crop, we will be ready to go, and the soil will be restored. And the soil's a lot better than it was, but obviously we've got to fight these pests. And then another thing I'm going to be doing, so I made a garlic solution and sprayed on the plants. It didn't really seem to make much of a difference, but the beetles had already, and the squash bugs had already been on the plants.
Yeah, they were established, well established.
So what I'm going to do is start it from, once the seedlings are in the ground, I am going to spray them with garlic about once a week, and we're going to see how that goes as well.
Okay, so we do get the comment frequently, well, just use neem oil. Why don't you want to use neem oil?
Well, neem oil is better than the chemicals, obviously, that are being used, but neem oil can also hurt some of the beneficial insects, and I really don't want to do that. Insects are under so much pressure now as it is. The insect population has reduced drastically since we started using all of the pesticides, and I don't want to harm them. So I would rather try to use something like garlic that will not hurt any of the good pollinators. And we'll hopefully just leave out the bad bugs. We hope this helps you. These are some things, and if you think of anything else, let us know. There was a lot we tried this year that didn't work, so I really do think between the achachka, the daisies, the electric fencing, I really think that's going to help next year, and putting a bunch in the freezer so we don't have as many. Yeah. So
that's the plan. And at this point, we're going to stick to it. So.
And we'll take you along next year. We'll see how it goes.
You know we will. So, anyway, please comment and give a thumbs up and subscribe and all those wonderful things.
Yeah, YouTube, the algorithm, they
don't like us talking about.
Yeah, they throttled us. Yeah, they throttled us down a bit ever since we started the homesteading news. Yep. So if y'all could like and share, subscribe, that would be appreciated, because YouTube's doing their best to throttle us down at this point.
They don't like us spreading the real news.
So, yeah, I don't understand it, but you can definitely see a difference. So the algorithm is definitely, and maybe, I don't know.
The algorithm is forever not in our favor. Maybe not forever. But.
Well, yeah, just for now. But we've noticed the algorithm is getting a little weird right now.
Yeah, it did. Real fast.
Yes.
So anyway, all right. So get those pets spayed and neutered. Adopt a pet if you can. Adopt a child if you can. There's a lot of kids out there that need homes too. Mm-hmm. So, all right, everybody. Hope you are well. Be good to yourselves and each other. God bless, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.